that she misled the American people over and over and over again while under federal investigation.
When do we beat Mexico at the border? They're laughing at us, at our stupidity. And now they're beating us economically. They are not our friend.
In the absence of the truth, bullcrap prevails. So here come the truth, jokers. Look at what's been going on. All the people are coming out, the dang Walking Dead. You know, the people who don't pay attention to politics until the election cycle comes around. And they get so emotional. They get all into it, and, you know, they pick their sides and they fight against each other. But in reality, they ain't getting nowhere with it. So you're falling for the little racist angle. You're fighting each other. You're ripping up the signs. And, oh yeah, let me go to this. This is something here. How is it that this little fake joker right here comes out and endorses Donald Trump? Now, elections are all about perception. So when you see this guy endorsing Donald Trump, you will say, oh, well, Donald Trump is a racist because he's endorsing Donald Trump. But here's the thing. What is KKK? Well, the KKK was created by the Democrats. The KKK still belongs to the Democrats. So this guy right here knows that if he comes out and throws his support behind Donald Trump, it's going to get the reaction of this. That's the only reason why he's coming out and doing that. Lyndon B. Johnson did the same thing in the 1964 election. He made an ad saying that Barry Goldwater was endorsed by the KKK. But how is he going to say that when the KKK is a democratic entity? They are the prop, and I'm talking about the KKK. The Democrats are the most racist party in history, the only party in American history to kill black people because they wanted them to vote Democrat. Lyndon B. Johnson said, I'll have those N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. When he was talking about N-words, he was talking about black people. And black people, they still vote Democrat.
Today, our country has lost a true American original, my friend and mentor, Robert C. Byrd. Senator Byrd was a man of surpassing eloquence and nobility.
There are white. I've seen a lot of white in my time.
I admired his tireless advocacy for his West Virginia constituents, his fierce defense of the Constitution and the traditions of the Senate, and his passion for a government that improves the lives of the people it serves.
There are white. I've seen a lot of white in my time.
They mentioned that he once had a fleeting association with a Ku Klux Klan. And what does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. He was a country boy from the hills and hollows of West Virginia. He was trying to get elected.
As Secretary of State, I continued to rely on his advice and counsel. Robert C. Byrd led by the power of his example, and he made all of us who had the honor of serving as his colleagues better public servants and better citizens. Robert C. Byrd left such a legacy. lives.
We welcome back to the program Dinesh D'Souza, movie producer and director extraordinaire. Hillary's America. What you just won, not an award, but you've just achieved some of the highest grossing. What's the category that you just?
Rush, it's absolutely fantastic. We became, in just 5 days, we became the most successful political documentary of this year, 2016, and we've entered the top 10 documentaries of all time in just 5 days.
Right, but this movie, it's a documentary, but it's entertaining as it can be. It's not stiff by any means. If there's one thing that, if you're talking to people who haven't seen the movie, and there's one thing in this movie or one area that you really want people to take away from it, what would it be?
Well, Rush, as you know, 4 years ago, I made the movie about Obama, and my point about Obama was that he's an ideologue. He's an anti-colonial ideologue who wants to diminish the wealth and power of America. I think with the Clintons, we're dealing with something different. We're dealing with Bonnie and Clyde, a kind of criminal racket that these two people run, and they've been on the make since the Arkansas days, continuing through the White House, then Hillary renting out American foreign policy. And so I think Hillary's goal, very different than Obama's, is kind of to be the crime boss of America. She wants to run America kind of the way that Al Capone would like to run Chicago. If you think about what Al Capone's objectives were, he wanted to basically have full access to the city treasury, hand out contracts to all his buddies. He wanted to be able to dominate the place, and if people criticized him, to push him off or snuff him out. And he wanted to be able to walk into the big Chicago stadium and have everyone shout with cult-like enthusiasm, "Big Al, Big Al, Big Al." And that's basically the twisted ambition of Hillary Clinton.
Well, but yet she is ideological, Dinesh. She does have ideological designs.
Yes, but here's what I'm saying, that the reason that she likes the progressive ideology is it delivers power right back to her. In other words, if she lived in a country of limited government, where the federal government had limited power, how could she acquire all this money and power for herself? So she likes the progressive ideology because it serves her racketeering objectives.
Well, I do know that both she and her husband have been obsessed with money and wealth from the day they got married. They didn't have any. All the people they hung around with were very wealthy, and they felt inadequate and insecure, and it's been an obsession. It's what Whitewater was about, and pretty much everything else that they have done. So the movie's out. It's drawing record crowds, and it's making just tremendous impressions on people. What do you produced the movie? You know it intimately, and you're watching a Democrat convention. I imagine it's a frustrating thing for you.
Well, it's beautiful to have the movie come out just this week because it is such a powerful counter-narrative to all the nonsense that we're hearing out of Philadelphia. The Democrats keep saying we're the party of the little guy and the ordinary man, and we're the party of Latinos and immigrants and blacks. And part of what we show in the movie is that the Democratic Party is actually the party of slavery, of segregation, of Jim Crow, of the Ku Klux Klan, of lynching, of forced sterilization, sympathy for fascism in the 1930s. The Democrats are the ones who interned the Japanese Americans after World War II. So unbelievably, this Democratic Party has been implicated in the most sordid and heinous acts of history, and yet in a move of unbelievable jujitsu, what they do is they take all their crimes and blame them on the South, or blame them on the Republicans, or blame them on America, as if America did this or America did that. But America didn't do it, the Democrats did.
Well, now, you ran through that list pretty quickly, and I know you don't want to give away the entire movie here, but there's a couple things I don't want to gloss over. You link the KKK to the Democrat Party. You link segregation, Jim Crow laws to the Democrat Party. Do you realize if you took a survey of the American people, that would stun them, and most people wouldn't believe that? I'm curious to know how you figured that out, where you went to learn that, how it's documented in the movie, and what your audience's reaction to this is, because that's big. It's huge.
So, Rush, I think this is the power of the movie. It completely disrupts and discombobulates the Democratic narrative. Now, it is a fact that it was a Democratic delegate to the Democratic National Convention, Nathan Bedford Forrest, who founded the Ku Klux Klan. It is also a fact that the Klan had a massive revival in the early 20th century due to a progressive Democratic president, Woodrow Wilson, screening a pro-Ku Klux Klan movie in the White House. It is also a fact, and here I'm quoting the progressive historian Eric Foner, that for 30 years the Ku Klux Klan was the domestic terrorist arm of the Democratic Party in this country. So these are the irrefutable facts of history, and what is great is to see all these left-wing critics thrashing about and screaming about the movie, but they can't find a single fact in it, or in my accompanying book of the same title, Hillary's America, they can't find one thing that is even arguable, let alone wrong.
Have you watched the Democrat convention night after night this week?
It has been both an amusing, a nauseating, and a hilarious sight. I mean, to see Bill Clinton, that old scoundrel, delivering this kind of highly edited introduction to Hillary, to listening to Obama last night. I mean, it's quite a spectacle. I don't know if you know, Rush, but I sneaked my own way into the Democratic convention, actually got right on the floor, and I wish I could actually play the trailer or play my movie in that convention, because they would need ambulances outside if I did that.
Yeah, well, they'd throw you back in jail, too. They'd come up with a reason to do that. I mean, Dinesh, can she live up to all this that has been said about her tonight? I mean, they can say all they want about the great things Obama said about her and the great things that Biden have said, the great things that Bill Clinton said about it, but they're not on the ballot. She is. And she did not win in 2008. She was overshadowed by Obama. She is the one who has to convince people to vote for her. These surrogates are not going to be able to make people vote for her. Can she live up to all of this tonight? You have to have a pretty decent understanding of her, having produced this movie and written the book.
Yes, I think it's going to be tough for her, because really she has known from early life that she does not have the gregariousness or the politically magnetic skills of Bill. She has actually needed Bill more than he needs her, because after all, Bill is kind of her pitchman. He's the one who actually carried her into national politics.
Well, yeah.
Without him, she'd be nowhere.
You know, that's an interesting point, too, because we hear all this talk about the glass ceiling and how Hillary has broken down barriers. She hasn't. If her last name wasn't Clinton, we wouldn't know who she is, or she certainly wouldn't be running for president. So you could, I think, honestly, fairly say that she has piggybacked on her husband's name and his success and to get where she is. And much of this is actually a payback to her for preserving his career and the Democrat Party by standing by him when he was enmeshed in all of his messes, shall we say.
This is a really good point, Rush, that she has actually known about not only Bill's infidelities, but his sexual predation. She's known about this from the early years, but she realized that if she became his fixer or his enabler, that this would, in a sense, glue him to her. He would depend on her to be able to continue to operate in this manner. And so this is actually kind of a partnership in crime. You may say that the family that steals together stays together.
Dinesh D'Souza of Hillary's America. I'm sure that people challenge your motives and question your motives because of the conservative background you have. What do you say to people who ask you, why are you doing this? Why a movie on Hillary? Obviously, you don't want her to win the election, but why are you doing this? Why are you going into this much
Rush,
detail?
I'm, as they say, a person of color. I'm a brown-skinned immigrant to the United States. I was born in Bombay, India. I grew up in a country that's ruled by gangs. You saw a hint of it in Slumdog Millionaire. This is a country with corruption running all the way through it. You can't get through the day without paying bribes. It makes you feel dirty at the end of the day. I came to America to live a different kind of life and to experience the American dream. No other country has a dream. There's no Indian dream, there's no French dream, there's no Chinese dream. This is a country where you can start out at the bottom, and if you climb up the ladders of opportunity, you're going to get ahead. So my politics is based on that, and that's what I'm fighting for. And these twisted people like Obama and Hillary represent a grave threat to that American dream, and that's why I make these movies, and that's why I write these books, and that's why I want to be a part of the fight, whether they lock me up or not.
So what do you think when you hear Obama last night try to do his impression of Ronald Reagan?
It's unbelievable to listen to this preposterous rhetoric. You know, I was actually reading a book by the historian Kenneth Stamp, and it's about the old slave plantation. And he was talking about the different features of the slave plantation. He talks about the fact that you have, for example, broken families, ramshackle dwellings, a high degree of violence necessary to hold the place together. Everybody gets a meager provision of life, but nobody gets ahead. There's nihilism, there's despair. And I thought to myself, wow, it sounds sounds like the guy is describing inner city Oakland or Detroit or Chicago. These are the urban plantations that Obama and Hillary have created. They depend on them to deliver votes for them. And so, in a sense, history isn't dead. One of the reasons I include history in my books and movies is we're living it out today, and many of the themes of the old rural plantation the Democrats have recreated, not just for blacks, but for immigrants. They've created barrios, ghettos, and slums, and they're responsible for it. There's no Republicans around. It's Democratic mayors, Democratic school superintendents, Democrats all the way down. This is the miserable, bigoted legacy of this Democratic Party.
It really is hideous, the way they keep people dependent, the way they keep people poor, the way, all the while promising them paradise, promising them salvation, promising them emancipation, and they themselves keep them barely subsisting and in a state of dependence for the purposes of maintaining and acquiring their own power. It's amazing how they've gotten away with it, and I hope as many people as possible can see your movie, because your movie exposes exactly what they're up to and how they've gotten away, what they have been able to do in reversing true history regarding race, racism, and so forth back in the 40s, 50s, 60s in this country, and how they've been so easily able to transfer all that to the Republican Party is nothing short of breathtaking.
Rush, if you let me, the website for the movie is just Hillary'sAmericaTheMovie.com.
Right.
We're playing in 1,200 theaters, so people can enter the zip code, and it'll tell you exactly where the movie is playing near you.
Hillary'sAmericaTheMovie.com is the website. Dinesh, thanks for your time and continued best of fortune. Good luck with this. It's a tremendous production, and it's eye-opening in terms of upsetting so much of what people think is conventional wisdom. And I'll tell you what's going to happen. You're going to watch this, and one of the main questions, folks, you're going to have is, why have the Republicans allowed this to happen? Why haven't the Republicans? Why is it not until now, Dinesh D'Souza, in his movie, why is it taken so long for an effort to tell the truth? The KKK is the Democrat Party. The KKK has always been the Democrat Party. The mayors and the police chiefs that were denying civil rights, the Martin Luther King protesters were marching against Democrat segregationists. And yet, until this movie, there has been no concerted effort to tell the truth about this. Dinesh D'Souza.